On today's episode of the Unfiltered Podcast, we're going to be talking about the last couple weeks worth of news. And at the beginning of the show, I'm going to dedicate the first segment to the No Kings protest. Let's fucking go.
Proud spirit of America and in the proud spirit of our great country.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Well, welcome back to the motherfucking show. I'm your host, Nick Marks, and this is the Unfiltered Freedom Podcast. Like I said, I wanted to start off by honoring the No Kings protesters. Yesterday, October 18th, 2025, thousands gathered around the country to protest Donald Trump as being a king because he is, in fact, a fascist and a dictator and Hitler, which, yeah, I'm in full support. I'm in full support of the No Kings protest, you know. I have a little video here I want to start the show off with just to honor all of the hardworking men and women who participated in the No Kings protest.
Hey, Maca gang, hey, so Maca down, Maca gang on my chain. Me and you, we ain't the same on the game. Hey, Donald Trump is your president, and if you like it or not, keep the energy you had with Barack. Cause you know this Trump train don't stop. Tell Beto to please come try to take my block. You wanna impeach him? I guess that's what you do when you can't beat him. That need to dead that. And I'm coming through your hood in my red hat. And they say they looking for me, I say where? Cause it seem like they all high like some scared cat.
Well, of course, that was obviously a joke because No Kings protesters are a joke. Yeah, imagine waking up Saturday morning, birds are chirping, sun shining, nice blue skies outside. You got your family, which most of these people don't have families. They're just, you know, childless cat people. And you get up and you go, you know what? I have a lot of fun things I could do today. I could go help the homeless out. I could go make breakfast for my family. I could go do whatever I want. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go protest Donald Trump being a king. I mean, last time I checked, I don't think kings usually care about other countries, i.e. peace deal, Middle East. I don't know if it's ringing a bell. I'll get to that a little bit later. But it's I can't believe that there's, I mean, no offense to retards, but these people are fucking retards. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing with your fucking life that you hate Trump so much and you think he's a king? You got Nancy Pelosi out here breaking crowns in half, and you got Bernie Sanders out here. He's telling you, give me your money and I'll do whatever you want me to do with it. Blah, 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 blah. While he's sitting in his $1 million mansion, of course. You know, and you have this girl from the Queens, the Bronx, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I'm a bartender that probably sucked a few dicks to get to where I'm at, and Kamala, hashtag Kamala. Yeah, fucking give me a fucking break. Yeah, if you went to a No Kings protest, get a life. That's all I got to say about that. Let's see here. So back to what I just said earlier, or a few minutes ago. Donald Trump on Monday finalized the peace deal between Israel and Gaza, and Gaza they released hostages to Israel, and Israel released hostages to Hamas / Gaza, which then, of course, the oh so peaceful Muslim Hamas leadership over there decided to execute, some of them. But that's besides the point. This is a big deal in the world because nobody in the history of mankind that, or at least in the last couple thousand years has ever been able to get this close to peace between Israel and, anyone in the Middle East, basically. Trump goes over there, they release hostages back and forth, the war's over, no more killings, people can go back to their homes, or, half the place in Gaza is a pile of rubble, but still, they can start to rebuild and start looking forward to peace. My personal belief is that Hamas is not going to let that happen. Hamas is a brutal terrorist group funded by Iran. And, as much as Israel is talk shit on, Hamas definitely likes to poke that big bear of Israel. And, there'll be little proxy, attacks here and there by Hamas towards Israel. And then eventually Israel get pissed off enough to start launching bombs again. And that's just how it is. But I do want to play a clip from Fox News, just kind of highlighting the situation over there.
Inside Gaza, reaction continues to the ceasefire deal. There's also an incredibly dangerous environment for Palestinian civilians as Hamas has executed a number of people accused of stealing aid and working with Israel. President Trump was asked about Hamas yesterday and their commitment to disarm as part of the broader peace plan.
We have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. And I spoke to Hamas, and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's what they told me. They will disarm, or we will disarm them. Got it?
That's just solid leadership. And Trump means it when he says it. I think I saw a clip earlier this week. Basically he was talking about Russia. I think he was talking about Russia. No, I can't remember. But basically just said, they don't want to fuck around with the United States. And with Trump in office, when he says something like that, he definitely means it. Now, I want all of these people that were saying, free Palestine and protesting in the streets and, basically, some of them causing riots and everything else about Palestine, which isn't a real place. It's, whatever. But that's besides the point. I want you guys to all throw your support towards Donald Trump and whoever is the next candidate that he supports. Shitty situation that was brought to a pretty reasonable conclusion. Of course, the 20 hostages released by Hamas were all men, because standard belief on their end is, they're going to rape and murder the women and children and enslave the men. And then, that's pretty much all they had left. So when they released 20 hostages, that's all they had, just 20 men. And I'm not sure if they've released the bodies of the people that they had murdered. I know that's to be seen, but I think this is a good step in the right direction for peace in that region. I mean, I think Iran, Hamas, everyone over there needs to take a play out of the playbook of the Saudis and United Arab Emirates for, they were under a pretty radical regime for a very long time. And then they came to the conclusion that, hey, let's just be peaceful and make a shit ton of money. And I mean, let's just be super rich and like stop all this stupid bullshit. I mean, there's still a lot of old Muslim beliefs, even in Dubai, women aren't treated the same, gays and all that stuff, because in standard Muslim religion and culture over there, a lot of the countries, you're not allowed to be gay. You're not allowed to be, if you're a woman, you're not allowed to show certain parts of your body, or you're only allowed to show like the eyes or something. And so there's still that problem over there, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think this definitely motivates everyone to get a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. Even though, Vladimir Zelensky doesn't have any desire to really end the war because he's still getting funding by the U.S., which I'm not in full agreement with. But, I think and I don't think Putin wants to end it either. I mean, I would if I was Putin, because this whole war has shown how weak that Russia is. And if anybody in the U.S. is scared of Russia in the future, well, I say don't be scared, because they can't even take on a small little country of Ukraine. So anyways, the next topic I wanted to talk about was this feckless cunt. Jesus Christ. I should review this more so I'm not so shocked. Let's see here. Katie Porter. Katie Porter is going to be the next governor of California, whether us Californians like it or not. What does she look like? She looks like a short-haired version of that teacher lady in Matilda, I'd say. And she has about the same demeanor. If everybody thought Gavin Newsom was bad, well, buckle up, because boy howdy, this bitch is something else. I have a news article pulled up from her ex-husband, I believe. Katie Porter verbally abused then husband in explicit tirade, fucking idiot and too fucking dumb to operate a phone, court docs say. This fight got heated. California gubernatorial contender Katie Porter once dumped scolding mashed potatoes on her then husband's head in a fight. Resurfaced divorce documents allege, as clips of her fiery temper continue to go viral, the former state congresswoman's ex-hubby, Matthew Hoffman, filed for divorce in 2013 and detailed that the Democrat who has a reputation of this is very small print, who has a reputation of exploding at her husband, frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage. She would not let me have a cell phone because she said, "You're too fucking dumb to operate it," Hoffman said to Porter, 51, who has been in the hot seat this week as videos capturing her going scorched earth and berating her former staff members. Hoffman claimed that back in 2006, Porter blew up over how he was making mashed potatoes, snapping, "Can't you fucking read instructions?" before she raised a ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped them on his head, burning his scalp. The couple wed in 2003 and had 3 children before calling it quits on their stormy marriage. In her first congressional run in 2018, Porter cast herself as a victim of domestic violence and frequently highlighted her role as a single mom. Typical Democrat liberal move. I am a victim. The government should save me. If I give more money to the government, they'll be able to spend it differently this time. the government should help me. These people are racist. I'm a woman, so everybody's holding me down because I can't. Shut the fuck up. She states, I'm the most boring person in America. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I protected my family. I ended a marriage that was troubled due to her actions, allegedly. The testy lawmaker, now vying to replace term-limited Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom in the November 3rd election, faced a wave of backlash this week after resurfaced footage has exposed her furious outbursts and nasty remarks. And this is an article from New York Post. So I do have a clip that I think is just so juicy. I have a couple of them actually. So let's go to the first one.
So I'm on the oversight committee, you might know, and that is where we did a study recently this fall in September. And what it showed is if we don't electrify our transportation sector, that we're going to lose more than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems. And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, definitely sounds like a survivor of domestic violence. She just sounds like a victim, you know? I mean, how does she get through the day? I know that if I talked to one of my employees like that, they would they probably wouldn't work for me very long. Yeah. It's sad that she's going to be the next governor. You know, hopefully there's more stuff that comes out like this that prevents it. But, you know, pretty much any Democrat that is going to be elected to governor in California is going to be a fucking cuck anyway. So I don't know if it really matters that much. I don't know if having a deranged female holding the office is the best route for California. But neither is having a Democrat or alike. And then here is another clip of Katie Porter storming off from an interview because she didn't like the question. Pretty standard question. If you're into politics, you see a lot of these type of interviews, and a lot of times they have all these polished answers of like, you know, that they've rehearsed, and you know, they know exactly how to answer the question, but she is such a deranged fucking lunatic that she can't hold herself together enough to make it through a simple question. So go ahead and take a listen.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative.
The question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand.
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
I am an
I have
investigative
never had to do this before, ever.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, seems like a real strong, independent woman there. Yep. Super strong, super independent. Boy, howdy, is that a fucking mess. I mean, Newsom's bad because he is an authoritarian. He does believe in government control over everything. He's the kind of guy that will, you know, implement mask mandates and cause you to lose your job if you don't get vaccinated. And just totally, I mean, we had a surplus in California a few years ago, and he goes up there, my name's Gavin Newsom, and I just want to let everybody know that we're doing a great job and we have a huge surplus of money. And then 2 years later, we're fat deficit, just as bad, just as much money in the opposite direction of our surplus. So, yeah, he's a peach too, but this one, whew. But now she is backpedaling a little bit, trying to say that she's changed her ways. I mean, she is a victim of non-domestic violence after all, so she's strong. She can handle it, I guess. But this is her in an interview, and you could definitely tell this is from Megyn Kelly's show, but you can definitely tell that she is trying to hold back from getting frustrated. And she holds it together, but, she definitely rehearsed her response a little bit better. Let's take a look.
Every day I wake up refreshing my X feed for another Katie Porter video, and the heavens lately really have been providing. She's not going underground. She decided to sit down with yet another interviewer. This is Nextstar's Inside California Politics show. And it almost looked like she was going to snap again, but she managed to hold it together, but it did get a little tense. Let's start with SOT 27.
Should California voters feel confident that there aren't any more Katie Porter videos out there?
Well, what I know is that I could have done better in those moments. I'm going to be focused on earning their votes and earning their trust. That's true in every election.
But not just the CBS interview, the interview with the staffer. Can voters be confident that there won't be another one of those videos that's going to come to light?
What I do know is that I could have done better on that situation.
That's not a no. So is there potentially another video that we're going to see?
Nikki, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that video was several years ago, as you know, and apologize to the staffer. That's super important to me, and will continue to try to hold myself to do better. That's what I can promise.
But not that there's not going to be any more videos, because that's what people are wondering. Are we going to see something else like that?
I can tell you what I've told you, which is that I am taking responsibility for this situation, and I'm also not going to back down for fighting back for California, from being tough.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, boy is right. I need to get a drink in me. Delicious, by the way. Hard AF. Shout out to Drinking Bros. So good. Yeah, you notice how she didn't really answer the question of whether there'll be more videos, because there probably is more videos, and that's what she's a little worried about. Yeah, God help us. I mean, I hate to say this, but I think Hillary Clinton might be a little bit better than her. I mean, Hillary Clinton was corrupt and, where are the bodies, Hillary? But, Katie Porter, yeah. I don't have much more to say about that one, I guess, but. So my next topic I want to talk about is staying in the same vein of California Prop 50. So California Prop 50 gives the California legislature full authority to redistrict the maps in California to gain additional seats, because California isn't corrupt enough. Let's just add to it. So I'm going to read a little thing here on arguments against Prop 50. Prop 50 was written by politicians for politicians. Prop 50 dismantles constitutional safeguards that keep election maps fair. It removes requirements to keep cities, counties, and local communities together, and eliminates voter protections that ban maps designed to favor incumbents or political parties, putting politicians back in charge of drawing their own districts or those of their friends. A no vote protects fair elections and keeps the people of California, not politicians, in charge of redistricting. For decades, Sacramento politicians drew their own district boundaries behind closed doors with no public oversight, guaranteeing re-election, denying voters a real choice, and shutting out many women and people of color from elected office. In 2008, California voters approved historic election reform, creating the Independent California Citizens Redistricting Commission. Voters decided district lines should be drawn by a balanced panel of everyday citizens, not by politicians who stood to benefit. Prop 50 throws out citizen-drawn congressional maps, created through a transparent public process with input from over 35,000 Californians. Instead, politicians secretly drew maps, leaving voters with no real say. In 2008 and 2010, the Democratic Party and special interests spent millions of dollars to stop citizen redistricting. Later, the California Republican Party even sued to overturn citizen-drawn maps and lost. Now, Sacramento politicians are scheming to regain control with Prop 50. Make no mistake, Prop 50 is temporary. For over half a decade, politicians get to impose their gerrymandering maps. Worse, it sets a dangerous precedent, opening the door for Sacramento to keep drawing election maps beyond 2031, giving politicians permanent power to shield themselves and their allies from accountability for California's high cost of living, skyrocketing housing, and rising energy bills. So basically, Prop 50 is by them, Clay. Right now, I mean, I don't think the nonpartisan group is really that nonpartisan, because it's really easy to put people in positions to do what you want. But to give the politicians the full authority, especially in the state of California, to redraw maps, it hurts. Like, my district is a very red district. A lot of ranching, a lot of farming, a lot of agriculture. And if you were to redistrict that to make your representative a Democrat, that really, really hurts the farmer and rancher and agricultural bottom line. Like, nobody that I know wants that. And, you know, you have all these liberals down in the Bay Area and Sacramento and, you know, all these places that don't understand that. They live in liberal districts. And so what are you complaining about? You know, making the state of California more liberal is not the solution. My personal belief is that you need both sides to come together and make decisions where, you know, you have states that are way right. They have their issues, and states that are way left have their issues. And the purple states tend to be the most, the best economy wise and regulations and everything like that, because there's some checks and balances both directions, you know. A weird example would be a full-on red state saying that, okay, citizens can have bazookas and military artillery and tanks, you know, and that's fully fine. You can drive it around the streets and all that stuff. But then you have the opposite side that's a full-on liberal state. And if they got full control and did whatever they want, okay, you don't get guns, you can't have gas-powered vehicles, no more farming, no more ranching, basically no more any of the standard freedoms that we have. And so by having left and right represent every state is important. And by doing this and gaining additional seats by redistricting, it hurts everyone. It doesn't just hurt the people in the red districts. It hurts the people across the state. You know, I know Texas is redistricting, and I'm not really sure on all the details of that. I know there were some quotes out there about Trump saying, you know, get me 5 seats and all this stuff. But I believe it was the Supreme Court that came down and said you need to redistrict due to the influx of migrants or illegal immigrants. Or just immigrants in general. I could be wrong on that, but I think there was a legitimate reason for redistricting in the state of Texas. And California, specifically Gavin Newsom, is using it as a political tool to, gain more seats in a already corrupt liberal state of California. Here's a little clip on Prop 50 from KCRI 3 in Sacramento.
Hello from the state capitol. A brief update on the courts and the question California voters could see with Proposition 50. A special election has been set this fall for California voters to decide if maps that were drawn by Democrats should take effect, to set new congressional districts, to basically help determine which party has power halfway through President Donald Trump's term in the U.S. House of Representatives. Okay, so the update. Earlier this week, we told you Republicans filed the first big lawsuit against the ballot measure now that it's hit the ballot. But the California Supreme Court came back this week, just basically open and shut that case. There was no lengthy explanation. The court is not hearing arguments. They basically just submitted a docket entry that said this petition is denied. Republicans are flagging that this is a serious concern that the court isn't even considering hearing this case. And some experts were also surprised by that too. But overall, legal experts that I spoke to say this could just be the court allowing the legislature to carry out the power that it has, which is to put measures on the ballot. But what many are bracing for is the possible federal lawsuit over all of this, with President Donald Trump stating this week that could be coming from his end. Yes, President Donald Trump, as Texas began work to redraw its congressional lines, the president did request 5 seats. In fact, he said he was entitled to them for Republicans, which leads me to my next update, which is what the question could actually look like. I'm saying could because this could be the next thing that's challenged in court. The California Secretary of State released the ballot label and summary. It says it authorizes temporary changes to congressional district maps in response to Texas's partisan redistricting legislative constitutional amendment. It states that the maps that the legislature passed just last week can be used in California's congressional elections through 2030. It says California's Independent Citizen Redistricting Commission is retained and directs the commission to resume doing congressional district maps in 2031 after the 2030 census. And it establishes a state policy basically symbolically supporting the use of fair, independent, and nonpartisan redistricting commissions nationwide. While the measure says it's in response to Texas, technically the legislation says nothing about it. In fact, if the courts were to strike down whatever happens in Texas or another Republican state, California's maps would take effect no matter what if voters approve them. So Republicans have been saying this language is already deceptive because of that. Will Republicans file the lawsuit? It would be their third. Could the third time be the charm for them, or will someone else try?
Yeah, so that kind of gives you just a little bit of a brief synopsis on Prop 50. I know my wife and I voted no. I don't know. I know one other person that voted yes, and they are a real special person politically. They're a great person, but their beliefs are a little cuckoo. So, there's some people out there, especially in California, that they see a D after somebody's name or an R, which obviously there's that, but, California specifically, you could put just about anybody in there to run for governor. And as long as it says Democrat after the name, that's who they're voting for. We haven't had a real fair election in California since Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so I don't see Prop 50. I think Prop 50 is going to pass, unfortunately. California doesn't do in-person voting in majority of the state. Or I think in elections like this, they don't do anywhere in the state. It's all mail-in. So, I could have 6 ballots in my mailbox if I want to, I would never do that, but, so that's unfortunate. I do want to go back a little bit to the Gaza Middle East peace deal that Trump was able to broker. And I did mention Hillary and how she's much better than the liberal cuck Katie Porter. But, God, I hate to say it. hate to say it, but Hillary Clinton had a nice statement for Trump um, after the peace deal came about. And, as much as I despise Hillary Clinton politically, this is how people on the left should be reacting. And it is funny that they had a No Kings protest like 6 days or 5 days after the peace deal in Gaza and Israel. But check out this clip from Hillary Clinton giving praise to Trump after the peace deal.
Does this diplomatic breakthrough make you hopeful about what's next?
Nora, it does. It's a really significant first step, and I really commend President Trump and his administration, as well as Arab leaders in the region, for making the commitment to the 20-point plan and seeing a path forward for what's often called the day after. Most importantly, the conflict hopefully will end with the ceasefire, the hostages will be returned, and then the very hard work of rebuilding Gaza, of finding the kind of security that Israel and the Palestinians after Hamas deserve to have, moving forward with the other points in the plan to try to create an opportunity for Palestinians to have a better life and for Israel to have greater peace and security. I am very hopeful that we'll be able to see progress. Today's a good start, but we have to keep going from here.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's kind of part of the old guard of Democrats. And she's not stupid. She's a very intelligent woman. She can see that the left is kind of crumbling, and they have this collectivist mentality that's kind of spread like wildfire. And unfortunately, the right is starting to, the reason why the left has started to lose credibility is because they started to get on board with this collectivism where, once a certain section of their party believes in something, then they just believe in it and they support them. An example on the right would be Tucker Carlson. Everything's Israel's fault. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. And then, Steven Crowder goes out there and, he has an opportunity to say, hey, Tucker, you're way out of left field here, buddy. But instead, what he does is he supports them and, oh, yeah, it's the Jews. It could be Mossad, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Basically, the right is starting to do what the left did, 5-6 years ago when they started to push the trans and sports thing, the LGBTQRSTUV bullshit. I don't know, just all their wacky shit that they come up with. And instead of pushing back on their own parties, or on their own members of their party, what they do is they just go, yep, I agree with that. Yeah, sure. I think, Hillary Clinton coming out there and saying, hey, this is good work. I think it's a good step in the right direction, blah, 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 commends Trump and all that stuff. That's what everybody on the left should be doing that right now. You don't have to agree with everything he says. I mean, I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything he does. I don't agree with all of his policies. But overall, I am a Trump supporter, and I believe in, what he's working towards and what he's able to do. That is kind of a gift that not a lot of other presidents in at least my lifetime have ever had. The other examples, the only person that I can think of on the left that's going out there and trying to give Trump credit would be John Fetterman. Had quite the comeback from having a stroke and not being able to even form a full sentence. Something about the Eagles or the Eagles. But he comes out and he says, no, like, I'm not going to call Trump a dictator. I'm not going to call him a Nazi. He's not a white supremacist. He's not a racist. He's not the next Hitler. He did a great job in Gaza with, the Middle East peace deal. He did a great job with Abraham Accords. He's creating peace around the world like he did the first time around. And, John Fetterman will say, like, hey, I got a lot of Republicans in my family. I'm one of the only Democrats, but I still love them dearly. And I don't think they're bad people. I'm never going to label them as racist, misogynist, and homophobic and all this stuff. I guess thinking back now, my Muslim comments probably don't make me look too great, but I don't give a fuck. I have people within my family that are of that religion, and they're good people. I mean, I can't say anything too horrible about them. So when I talk about collectivism, I'm not talking about, like my view. You should have problems with people individually, not groups of people. But when I talk about Muslims, I'm talking about the radical Islam and, the people in the Middle East that basically, that's my belief on it. I don't think all Muslim people are bad people. I just think, I just think the Middle East has a lot of problems that they've had for thousands of years, and they need to settle, get it settled. Become one with Western civilization instead of looking at the white man or, everyone in the Western civilization as the enemy. Specifically Hamas, Iran, Taliban, ISIS, all those factions of radical Islam. Those are the ones I'm talking about as far as groups goes. But back to Trump, I think with Hillary Clinton coming out and giving him credit, I think should be used as an example for other other Democrats that are politicians. I would have a lot more respect for and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders, or one of those people if they came out and said, we're glad that he was able to get this done. This is a great thing for the Middle East and peace in Israel and Gaza, and hopefully the peace can continue. That would be great statements by all of these Democrat elected officials, but they won't do that. They instead go 5 days later and go do no kings protest because they think Trump is a king. He says some pretty wild, fucked up shit. But is he a king? No, kings don't care about other countries. They'll try to dominate other countries, to expand their empire. But, they don't care about peace in other countries. They would just help bomb the other country, I mean, they wouldn't give two fucks about Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Palestine, Hamas and all that, Iran. They wouldn't care about all that. They would just go around and fucking try to conquer land and, gain as much power as they can. And Trump has a really good team around him, which has kind of got him in the position where he's at, where he's a billionaire. I think Marco Rubio probably played the biggest role in the Israel-Hamas peace deal, or Israel-Gaza peace deal, whatever. He's kind of built for that, and I think that's going to get him a lot of credit when it comes time for presidential election. And I think my boy JD Vance is gonna take care of that, but Rubio would be a good VP. But anyways, last thing, leave it off with a fun little story here. So there was a story where a dog chewed on a lithium battery, and the fucking thing caught on fire. So let's take a look at that. So if you're an audio listener only, that was a in-house video of a dog. Basically, just showed the dog dropping this whatever lithium battery on the rug in the living room, and the thing sparked and caught on fire. Thankfully, there was no further damage besides the carpet. It kind of put itself out. But, these are the batteries that you liberal weirdos have in all of your electric vehicles. And there's a reason why these things can't get put out. They ignite hot and fast. And when they start burning, they just keep going. But that was kind of a funny one. I think it was out of Florida. I can't remember. I'm horrible at this podcasting bullshit. I didn't pull up a news article or nothing. I kind of just saw it and I was like, fuck it. Sounds funny. Well, I'm going to probably end it right here. I do want to say that I'm going to start putting out little 5 to 15 minute clips, hopefully every Monday if I have the time, as little motivational clips. I've been through my fair share of mental hardships, thankfully before I got married, but and of course now that I'm older, I hear the Andy Frisellos of the world, and they, I wish I would have had that voice in my ear back when I was going through some stuff. So I'm going to try to every Monday do a little motivational Monday, come up with a little tagline and kind of do a 5 to 10 minute rant on that. So hopefully anybody that listens to that enjoys it. But that is it for this episode. Hopefully I get better at this shit, because I feel like I'm pretty awful at it. Makes me feel better, but one day I think I'll be good at it. So anyways, toodaloo, motherfuckers.